Hello, everyone. Welcome to our show today. We have Michelle Murphy. Welcome to Learning to Glow.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
I'm so happy that you're here. I'd love it if you could tell us a little bit about yourself before we begin our conversation, and then we can just see where we go.
Okay, sounds good. I am a licensed therapist and I'm a holistic wellness coach. I help women take control of their weight and stop obsessing over food. So it's really from a mental, physical, and emotional standpoint that I help women to take care of their health and to improve their overall experience of life.
I love that. We talk about that a lot on our show. From a lot of times like the physical things that we can do and the nutrition standpoint and all of that. But I feel like we should start with the emotional part because I feel like that it's easy to do the behind the work to sort of get healthy because we know what to do. There's so much information. Maybe we need to learn a little bit about protein or whatever it might be, but if it was just that simple, we probably everyone would be successful in their goals. But there's
Yes,
so much more to it, and I'd love if you could talk to me about like the emotional part and like the emotional eating, because that's probably a big component of what you do with your clients.
yes, absolutely. I want to reflect on what you just said of how easy it is, right? It's easy or
Yeah.
it's simple to be healthier. Like we all know, like eat these foods, do this movement, use this skincare, like all of these things and routines and supplements that we can do to be healthier. And yet, it's not that doable sometimes. And to your point, what often gets in the way are those emotional blocks. It's that feeling of, I know what to do. And all of a sudden now that feels like pressure and more obligation. And
Mm.
especially as women, we already have stressful lives and we have a lot of responsibilities. And so a lot of the work that I do with my clients is helping them come back to themselves, come back to their internal wisdom, come back to their trust within their own nervous system, within their own body to take really good care of themselves. And when we start with that standpoint of love and acceptance and appreciation and gratitude for our bodies and for our experience of life, then it becomes more natural to implement these things that we know we're supposed to do or we should do. And it feels like less pressure and it feels like more of just an energetic expression of love and care for ourselves.
Mm.
So that's a lot of what I do with my clients is helping them to kind of come back to that. You also mentioned something about emotional eating. And emotional eating, we all do it. But sometimes we eat when we're happy, sometimes we eat when we're sad, sometimes we eat because we have this urge to eat and we don't necessarily know why. Sometimes it is because we're hungry, but sometimes it's
Yeah.
because we're actually distracting ourselves from a deeper emotion or a wound or a hurt or a stressor. And one of the things that has helped my clients so much is for them to be able to understand better where those emotions are coming from and to be able to process. It might be a childhood experience, it might be just something that they're going through in their regular life. And sometimes they don't have anybody else to share that with. And so to be able to have some time and space to go, what is going on? And how can I process my emotion in a way that serves me better than turning to food for comfort?
Yeah. Well, when you were talking before we started talking about emotional eating, you something kind of clicked for me, and I was because you were like, "Oh, it should be so easy for us because we have all this information." And yet, do you find when your clients share with you, do they maybe they don't even know that this is part of the layer, or is this even a layer? But it to me it seems like it could be of like a feeling of shame or disappointment in themselves that they don't just get it. Like why is this so hard? Like I should be doing something that seems so simple. It should click. Like what's wrong with me type of a thing. I when you were explaining all that, I was like, I wonder if that's something that's common with women who are like, oh, you know what? I do know a lot. I do listen to a lot of podcasts and have a lot of information. And just what's wrong with me for not being able to get to my goals?
Thank you so much for asking that question. So many women have that feeling of guilt and shame around their own health because exactly what you said is like, well, why can't I figure this out? What's wrong with me?
Yeah.
And the thing is that there's nothing wrong with you.
Mm.
It's that the way that you're processing and the way that you're attempting to implement these new strategies into your life, it's just not working for you. So we need to find a way that works for you, that supports your lifestyle, your values, your responsibilities, so that you can have a better version of your life experience and be a better version of yourself.
Yeah, I just think that must be so common and so frustrating. And so you said with emotional eating, we all do it. Like I can think of so many times where I'm like, I like I have a time a day that is higher stress than other times of my day. And I have caught myself being like eating something while I'm in the kitchen trying to do something for my kids. And I'm like, wait, whoa. Like it's almost like unconscious. And then, but it is like, I am like, comforting myself in a way. Is that like, talk to us about that?
Yeah, that's exactly what you're doing. When we get stressed, we have a stress response, and our bodies are designed to protect us and to calm us back down. And eating actually stimulates the vagus nerve. And the vagus nerve is involved with fight or flight. And when we can stimulate the vagus nerve, it can bring us back into a calmer state. And so eating does that exact thing for us and helps us feel like we're safe because we have nourishment available to us.
Yeah.
And we're also stimulating that nerve. And so it gives us this false sense of calming down because then we get more stressed because we're like, oh my gosh, I ate the thing, and why did I eat that? And I wasn't even hungry. And then it just kind of like spirals into a whole other set of worries. So what you're describing is so common.
Yeah. So how do you, and I use the word unconscious because it's like it's like it's happening so fast. Like
Yes.
it's almost like your mind isn't like slowing down enough to be like, okay, I'm doing this. I should stop. Like I don't need this. This is what else could I need or do? It's like if you just go from like feeling the feeling of discomfort to there's food in my mouth. Like
Yes.
how do you help people take that pause or be conscious before they put the food to the mouth?
Yes. Thank you for asking that. I love that you called it unconscious because that's exactly what's happening. It's this automatic response.
Yeah.
And so becoming more consciously aware, this sounds really, I guess, like like everybody's like, oh, just meditate. But really, if you can build in 1 minute of meditation in your day and start practicing becoming consciously aware, that is one tool that we use. Other thing would be habit stacking. So like if you are only going to food when you're in the kitchen doing other things, maybe you have something in your kitchen that alerts you and reminds you, hey, be conscious, be present in this moment. Just don't just go on autopilot to like do the things for everybody else. Maybe you have a post-it, or you have a picture, or you have maybe you have an item or a trinket that you set on the counter to remind you, hey, be calm, be present, be grounded, be aware more than
Yeah.
anything. Because when we're choosing from a conscious awareness, then we're able to make choices based on our values now, not on subconscious programming from past experiences, which is really based on fear. So we're able to bypass all of that and get into a state to make choices that we're really proud of and are aligned with what we're trying to accomplish.
Yeah. I love that. I feel like it's like a the trinket thing that you mentioned. It's like something a cue for your brain to be like, "Oh, like remember, stay here, stay present." And I love the meditation tip too because I feel like we all know we should be doing it. There's definitely so much research behind meditation now and so much information about it. And yet like I know a lot of people are like, like it's so easy to be like tomorrow, next week or something like that. But is that a big tool that you recommend like in general with your clients?
Yes, absolutely. And another tool is grounding. So
Okay.
being aware in the present moment, using all five senses. So hearing, seeing, smelling, tasting, touching, and being in your body in the moment to recognize, what do I see? Maybe you're out to lunch with a friend, and maybe you can do it with a friend and just say like, hey, can we practice grounding together? Let's be mindful of what's happening. And so you can just do a little like, what do you hear? Well, you hear, somebody next to you, and their silverware clinking on their plate. You hear the waiter talking to you. What do you see? Oh, there's a beautiful artwork on the wall. What do I smell? Oh, the food's delicious. It smells delicious. When it comes to the table, what am I actually tasting? And then the feeling can be a sensation, both physical of touch or of chewing, but it can also be a feeling of joy, of emotional feeling, of connection with a friend. So practicing really noticing what you're actually experiencing in the moment can be another tool because it helps to bring in that conscious awareness.
Yeah, it's like another layer of we need to be aware of the moment if we are going to take that, that like leap from just I'm feeling this emotion to I'm eating, and
Yeah.
like that's just another good tool that you can use. So do you tell me like your thoughts on cravings, like if somebody has strong cravings, because sometimes this can be a physical thing, like maybe somebody doesn't have enough of the right foods in their system and the body's having strong cravings, and like how does that tie into emotional eating?
Yeah, that's a great question. I love this idea of kind of as a foundation of taking away shame and inserting curiosity.
Mm,
So if we have a craving, we don't want to go, oh my gosh, I'm craving that thing again. And what's going on? And what's wrong with me? We
yeah,
go, what's happening? And get really curious. Because to your point, it can be complicated. It's not always straightforward.
sure.
Sometimes we're craving something because we're physically hungry and our body is using our brain to tell us, like, hey, like we need some nutrition here. And a craving can be a really beautiful tool that our body uses to talk to us to say, like, hey, I need some help here. So cravings aren't necessarily a bad thing. Cravings can also be because we might be deficient in something.
Yeah.
And it could be a nutrient, you might need supplements, there might be vitamins, minerals, there might be things that you're missing. So that's an avenue to look at as well. Like if you're having a same craving often, and getting curious of like what might be missing from my diet or from my intake that could be supporting my body better.
Yeah, that's so important. I think it's like little, like I made a tweak with my, and I've talked about this on the show before, but I made a tweak with my breakfast. Like I didn't used to eat breakfast, and
Okay.
then I didn't used to eat breakfast when I did eat breakfast that was high in protein. And I made that switch a couple years ago, and now I'm not hungry again until like lunchtime, whereas before I'd be like, I'm starving, I need to eat something, I'd be like 10.
Yeah.
So it's like funny how sometimes like that it can be a real physical craving because your body's like, I need food, I need energy. And then we're always craving like chips. We're not craving like broccoli at
Yeah.
like those aren't the cravings we get. I wish I got those cravings, but yeah, it's like a cue that your body is missing something sometimes. But then
Yes.
I could see if you have these cravings and you're, coupled with emotional eating, I could see it being like a bad storm of like, okay, now I'm just gonna, probably overindulge in things that I didn't want to do. I
Yep.
didn't want to overindulge with.
Yep, absolutely. And another piece that's important to recognize with craving is that some of those ultra processed foods in our food system are designed for us to have a high dopamine reward response to that, and then for us to want more, whether we're hungry or full. And so that's a recognition too of what are the foods that I'm craving. And to your point, if it's chips, maybe those particular chips are designed for you to want more and more and more. And so that could be something too of just giving yourself some break, giving yourself some slack or giving yourself a break and being like, it's not me, it's the chips.
Yes. Oh my God. Right. I think that's such a good point that some of the foods that we're having have that addictive quality to them where your body is like they're so off the charts of like what they have in them that is like foreign really to our body that it makes it want, we want them even more. I'd love to get back to what you said just a minute ago about shame and guilt. So you were talking about, getting kind of stuck in this cycle of having shame and guilt, which I could see leading to more emotional eating. Obviously, it's like this cycle, right? And so, how do you begin with a client who is in this cycle? What do you help them with? Like, how do you help them get out of that rut?
Yeah. The first step is loving yourself. And as women, we're really bad at loving ourselves.
Yes.
So, one exercise that I do myself and I ask my clients to do is to wake up in the morning and look yourself in the mirror and say, I love you.
Mm.
That is so simple, but it's so powerful because as women, often we are looking for love and affirmation from everyone else around us, from our parents, from our partner, from our kids. And when we get that, we feel good, but that isn't always available to us. And so being able to provide that for ourselves and to say, I'm enough, I'm worthy, and I'm loved, that can start to peel back the layers of feeling not good enough, feeling guilty, feeling shameful. And the other thing that can be really helpful is to distinguish between guilt and shame. And I always think that guilt can be a really powerful and it can be a healthy tool because guilt usually means that I did something bad. And so, as you know, the human experience, guilt can come from a place of maybe doing wrong to someone else. I hope I feel guilty if I did something wrong to you because I want to stay connected to you and I want to feel bad about that so that I learn I don't ever want to do that again. So that can be a powerful tool in community. And then the difference between guilt and shame is the feeling that I am bad. And most of the time, I would say probably 100% of the time, you aren't bad. You probably did something bad. So peeling that back between, am I bad? I'm not bad. Did I do something bad? Sometimes we feel guilty and we didn't do anything bad. So then recognizing, okay, like I really don't, that guilt isn't warranted or it's not required. But if I did something bad, let me learn from it. Let me examine it. I don't want to run away from it. I want to get curious about it so that I don't make that mistake ever again. So the guilt and the shame, it's important to distinguish between the two and then peel back. Is this situation worthy of feeling guilty? If it is, that's good because it's a great learning experience. And if it's not worthy of feeling guilty, then I have the freedom to let myself off the hook and know that I'm loved and I'm worthy and I'm valuable and I'm okay.
Oh, I love that. It's another practice in becoming aware of our thoughts in our head, like, down to like what we were talking about in the beginning with like the emotional eating. It's like another way to sit back and go, okay, let me really look at this. Like, should I even feel guilty about this? And I know this is so true for like when you were talking about it that way with so many moms, like they have so much guilt because, oh, maybe the summer doesn't look like what, we're in the dead of summer right now. Maybe this summer doesn't look the way they think it should, or like the neighbors are doing all of these things with their kids and I'm here, I'm not doing that with mine and I feel guilty. And so instead of just like be like I'm doing something wrong or I am bad or having shame or whatever, to sit back and be like, okay, let's be real here. Like, should I even feel this feeling of guilt? Am I even doing anything wrong? Like, just to give yourself a break from just listening to your brain and just accepting that as the truth. It's like you're taking a step back and saying, maybe this is wrong. Maybe what I'm telling myself isn't the best way for me to
Yes.
be thinking.
Yes, it might not even be true.
It might not even be true. So, when it comes to shame and guilt, when you're dealing with this topic and with your clients, is there a lot of shame and guilt? Or do they talk about just like in their lives, in their world, and that is kind of what leads to the emotional eating? Or is it shame and guilt around specifically like food, overeating, their bodies? Like, what is it that they're coming to you with? Or is it all of the above?
From a little bit of all of the above, the thing that stands out that's probably the most common is the cycle of wanting my body to look different. I want to feel different in my body. I want to be stronger. I want to be fitter, whatever that definition is. And then instead of supporting my body in getting to a healthier state, what happens a lot is I will, not me, but I'm just speaking as if I were a client, I will restrict. So I would really rob my body of what it needs. So there's this restriction of food, and then there's this overwhelming kind of panic within the body, and then there's a binge. There's overeating
Yeah.
to compensate for that, and then there's the guilt and the shame on top of that, and then that starts to cycle over again. So it's really, I would say the most common is that restrict, binge, guilt, and shame, and then start it all over again.
Oh, it's so painful. I've been there. I'm sure so many people listening have been there. It's so uncomfortable. It's like, okay, I really messed up this weekend. That's it. Like, I'm going to take all the food away. I'm going to take all the, just go as little bare minimum as possible. And then you're also beating yourself up about it. So it's so terrible. And, speaking of summer, let's talk about what you mentioned, having a body that doesn't look the way that you want it to. And there's so many moms listening, and there's moms who are like, not giving themselves permission to go to the beach and put their bathing suits on, in the summertime, or like just love their bodies for where, and I know that's such a big ask sometimes, because trust me, I know that's not an easy thing to do. But like, what are some tips or some advice for those women who are like, I really want to get back to, like, my goal, or like where I feel more comfortable, but we're here right now and it's not what I want. So I'm just gonna not go and be with my kids in the pool. I'm just gonna sit here in my clothes. Like, where can we start with those women who I know so many people can relate?
Yeah, yeah. First of all, I want to say I can relate, right? Like
Hmm.
as women, like we go through these cycles and these phases in our lifetime of not loving our body, and it is really painful.
Yeah.
So to all the women out there, you're seen, you're heard, you're understood. I would start with again kind of that self love. Like in the morning, get up and think of one thing that you love about your body, and maybe you look in the mirror and you recognize it. Maybe it's just a thought process. Maybe it's gratitude that I get to be a mom. Maybe it's gratitude that I can physically get out of bed this morning. I mean, we can start small. It doesn't. It can be gratitude that I have air in my lungs and I'm breathing, and my body allows me to be at the beach or participate in life, or have this vacation or see the sun in the summertime. So starting very, very small with gratitude, it can go a really long way. The other thing I want to mention is a lot of women make the mistake of, if I force my body into this other phase, then I can love myself at that point in time. And that's a lot of where we see the eating disorders start to happen. It's, I'm not good enough until I get to this point. So, again, that awareness of being really mindful of your own thought process, starting with love and gratitude and feeling worthy and enough, because my body has gotten me to this point in my life, and maybe I need to take a little bit better care of her. Maybe I've been neglecting her, and accepting that that's okay. I don't love it and I'm not proud of it, so I'm going to put in the effort to take better care of my body. But it doesn't mean that I am not worthy of going to the beach or putting on a swimsuit or having joy with my kids. So recognizing that I can get to a better place, but it doesn't mean that I can't love myself or can't be present today, just as I am.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that you say you can start small, because I think if we go for a lot of women, especially, there's disordered women and really body dysmorphia and all of that, to go from like, I really hate my body to I love my body is so big. It's such a big jump. So I can see, like you said, starting small being very helpful as like a bridge to, so something that they can actually believe, right? Because you could say something and your body doesn't believe it, right?
That's so important. I'm glad you said that. Anytime I'm working on behavior change or mindset change, I always talk with my clients. What are you thinking right now? First, we need to identify what is the phrase, what is the belief, what is the thought pattern that is showing up for you right now. We want to look it in the face, stare it down, and go, okay, what is this? And is it working for me? Most of the time, it's not, because it is creating some of those feelings of guilt or not worthy. So once we identify it, we say, okay, what else could be partially true? What's the other side of the coin?
Hmm.
Because I guarantee there is something that is more positive that you at least believe a little bit, right? So we don't ever want to lie to ourselves. We don't want to look in the mirror in the morning if we're not feeling good. We don't want to look in the mirror and go like, "Oh, girl, you're so amazing." Like that just feels like we're lying to ourselves, and that creates a
Yeah.
lack of internal trust. So what we want to do is start small. Start with something that we believe is partially true and keep repeating it and keep adding on to it until we fully believe it, or until there's layers and more positive thoughts that come with it.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's so good. I was just talking with a friend the other day, and she is suffering from emotional eating, and she just has tried so many different things, and she's basically to the point now where she's like, I don't think I can change unless I have a GLP-1. So I wanted to ask you about that. Like, you have helped your clients like get out of this cycle. So
Yes,
I know that it is possible.
it is.
So for what would you say to my friend who thinks, there's just no way you can get out of this emotional eating craving cycle loop without assistance, like from medicine or whatever?
Yeah. I would say it's absolutely possible. And I'm sorry that she's suffering, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
hard to wake up every day and feel like you're battling against this thing that's so big that don't know how to get out of it. So
Yeah.
first I want to say I'm sorry that you're feeling that way. But secondly, it is absolutely possible. One of the things that so many of us shy away from is our emotions. So focusing on the eating part of it is kind of like the outside layer. And inside that, there's probably some emotions. And I don't know your friend at all, but just speaking generally, there's probably some emotions that we haven't been willing to face or haven't been able to face. And so part of it is uncovering kind of those layers and getting down to the core of how do I feel about myself? What emotions are coming up for me? How can I see them in myself? Do some processing, whether it's with a therapist or a friend, or do some journaling and allow those parts of myself to be seen and heard and understood and valued. Because a lot of times we run from those uncomfortable emotions and they're just asking to be witnessed.
Yeah, I love that so much. I mean, that's so true. And it's like if we can, that's I think why so many women get stuck, and men, I'm sure, get stuck in a loop of, you get really motivated, you're going to do what you said you're going to do, you're going to do the right things on paper, wait for weight loss, and then but you're still who you are. You're still not addressing so many things that can be underneath the surface, which I think is so, because a lot of times we can just replace habits, with one, you might tackle the overeating thing, but you might start smoking cigarettes. I don't know, like
Yes,
there could be
yeah,
something else.
yeah, yeah,
It's really important to go to the foundational
yeah.
issues if you want to just be free of all that, right? Like that's the
That's
goal.
yeah, that's talked about. You mentioned cigarettes, and my brain was kind of going there anyway with addiction. It's a really common conversation that it's not the alcohol that's the problem, it's the
Yeah.
trauma that you experience
Yes.
that you're covering up or you're medicating with the alcohol. Right. So it can be the same thing with emotional eating, where it's like you have something unresolved within you and you are covering it up or you are trying to feel okay by using another substance, by using the food. And deep down, you're not okay,
Yeah.
right? You're hurting,
Yeah.
you're in pain. And I want to normalize this. This happens for me a lot because I've been growing my business and I've been putting myself out there. And it's really uncomfortable, as you know, to be an entrepreneur, to do new things. And oftentimes, my kind of like younger version of myself comes out and is like, you can't do that. Like, it's like that fear of like, let's not go there. Anytime that we are expanding or we're growing, then there's a version of ourself that wants to pull back and say, no, this is too uncomfortable. This is scary. We can't do this. And so, like, a lot of times I will journal and I will talk the voice of my younger self or I will talk to my younger self. And I even did that this morning. And because I was like, I'm feeling kind of stuck today. Like, what's holding me back? And I'm like, oh, there's a part of me that's really uncomfortable and really scared. And so in my journaling, I like spoke to her and I had her speak to me of just, we have these different versions of ourselves. We have a little kid in us, we have a teenager, we have, a younger adult, and we have a full blown adult that we're, doing all the things now. And sometimes it's really hard for our younger self that has come along with us to be experiencing our full life that we have now. And so tending to those parts of us gently and softly with love and kindness and care and saying there's nothing wrong with you. Like you're allowed to be emotional. You're allowed to be sad. You're allowed to be angry. You're allowed to feel guilty. But what's really going on with that? Like what is in there? And that curiosity can really help us do a lot of healing.
That is such a good point. I love that. But, I have a friend who's a therapist and she does the parts therapy. And, there's this part of me and that part of me. And it's like when you realize that, you can be like, oh, it's just a part of me. It's not all of me. And it's like, let's talk to that part and like figure it out. And I love that so much. And, with you and how you are focused on the food issues and that we deal with, which is so many of us are dealing with that. It's so different than the other addictions because you can't stop eating food. Like we can stop
Right.
drinking. That's easy. We're just not drinking anymore, but
Yeah,
we have to eat to survive. So I feel like it's trickier. And I
very.
do feel like it is something that is really wise to work with someone like you because there's so many layers to it. And to have that focus and somebody who really understands the process is so important. So let's talk about that too. Like let's talk about what it looks like for someone interested in getting out of this cycle and working with you. Like how do you want to like share with us how that process is?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So if anybody is interested in working with me, the probably easiest way to get in touch with me is on Instagram. I'm at Holistic Wellness Counselor, and you can just send me a direct message and we can chat and figure out kind of what it is that you're looking for. And then I have two programs. I have an 8-week coaching program that's designed for people to get a quick win. So if they're like, oh my gosh, I'm like really struggling, I need a lot of fast action, we'll start there. And then I have more of kind of like a maintenance program where people who have gotten that quick win, they've seen some results, but they want continued support. So we could go either way with that. And I can work with people anywhere. I'm based in Columbus, Ohio, but all over the country and all over the world, I can work with people who want some help with the food and the body and kind of how they see themselves and their habits, and I'm just wanting to kind of turn it all around so that they can feel better.
I know. And like take that energy that we spend on our bodies, on hating them, on trying to change ourselves. And not that there is time and place for change, but like that energy, and I'm again speaking from experience here, is so wasted. I'm like, man, I don't need to spend all this. It's like, and sometimes it's like I'm trying to lose 5 or 10 pounds, and I'm like, at the end of the day, this is what's stressing me out. Like, come on.
Yeah,
So, it's like to get that energy back and to just feel good and to be able to live your life and not have to have that voice in your head. Like this is a really big deal. Like
yeah,
this is something that it's like this suffering that doesn't need to be.
exactly. Yes.
Yeah. It's really something that we can do something about. So what I'll do is I'll link your Instagram in the show notes. So
Awesome.
everybody can go and follow Michelle, and you're lovely. Thank you so much for coming on. It was so much fun. You had some really great tips, and I feel like these are things that everybody should be doing. Like some of the tips that you gave us today, like this just, we all have things that we need to work through, and those are just amazing tools to do that. So thank you so much for coming on and sharing with us today.
Thank you, Jess.
Yay!